Blake Production.
My squad. It's been a minute. I'm going to start breaking down Bittensor in this video. Now, the craziest part about Bittensor to me is the further you go down the rabbit hole, the more you research about this ecosystem. It just blows your mind. And I truly think one of the most asymmetric opportunities in the market right now is the decentralized AI startups that are being built on Bittensor. We're going to get into it, but first let's break down, like, what are we looking at here? Tau itself has been consolidating very strategically over the past 2 years. Made highs of 750 back in March 2024, and we've just been slowly consolidating in this wedge type pattern. Now, I'm really not looking at Bittensor short term by any means, because obviously it's going to take some time for the subnets within Bittensor to get some sort of attention. But once the first subnet that reaches $1 billion market cap, once that's achieved, I think that'll change the entire landscape for Bittensor. And you're starting to see institutional action take place. You're seeing now Solana partnering with Bittensor. And, people are going to have access to purchase these subnet tokens on a Phantom wallet. This creates a really interesting environment. And in my opinion, this whole, manifestation of a subnet summer is just inching closer and closer to realizing that and becoming reality. And you're starting to see this chart warm up here. Things feel strong right now. What I'd be looking for right now in Bittensor is to reclaim this 350 range and hold it. So what we want to see, in my opinion, is we have this low, we create a high into resistance, higher low. We want to create a higher high, potentially getting stuffed around 400, and then use that 350 to 320 range as support as we slowly weaken this new resistance that we're dealing with around 450 to 500. And I think that's what we're going to be looking for in the coming weeks and months. But why don't we just get right into it? What we're looking at here on Bittensor is so fascinating to me. I'll pull this up. I just made this post. But here I have a thread of what I believe are the best setups within Bittensor, right? So we're going to look here at a few different subnets. This might be a longer video, so buckle up. But what we're looking at here is a great opportunity. You can multiply your Tau, or you can just simply, stake into some of these subnets and hold Tau itself and get the appreciation of the underlying, which is very likely to happen, in my opinion. Of course, none of this is financial advice. So what we're looking at here is BabbleBit subnet 59. And what these guys are doing is they're creating AI models that essentially do a live, in real time translation, speech to speech translation. And, think about what you watch on TV, right? Like how you're watching a movie and on TV, the subtitles are so laggy. They're like 2 or 3 sentences behind. What BabbleBit is creating is the AI model that has very low latency, very accurate translation. And I think that this being used is going to be a fascinating piece of technology that's being built on Bittensor. And again, this is going to be able to, I imagine, like, if we use our imagination, one day this will be, on glasses that you're using to speak to somebody overseas who you don't understand the language of. So there's quite a significant upside here if they manage to be successful with their product. And what we're looking at from a technical aspect is this massive, resistance zone right around this area. And we happen to break out above it previously earlier on. And as we break out above it, we get stalled into this resistance level. This large wick that was in March 2025 left us with some resistance. And we stalled at that range, rejecting that zone. So as we consolidate back into this previous resistance area, we're starting to see this zone now act as support. And that's what we want to see. And what I like here about this specific setup here with BabbleBit is that this subnet, considering how talked about they are in the ecosystem, the price per token of these alpha tokens here sitting at 0.0039 tau feels to me a little bit undervalued, considering there's some subnets that are just absolute wastes that are higher in token price. So this setup alone is fascinating. We have this base, we break out above resistance, and now we're creating this higher low. And I love the looks of this. I'm looking forward to see what happens in the coming months as we roll into summer. Especially now with this new partnership with Solana. Just watching to see Bittensor get more attention, I think, is going to be very exciting. So here we have BabbleBit. And then what we will also look at here, if you want to break down and have a read of each specific subnet that I'm talking about, just visit this tweet here on my profile on X. And I go into a little bit more depth on each one. The next one we could look at is subnet 44 score. This subnet, in my opinion, I've broken it down on my YouTube channel before, but this subnet here, in my opinion, is one of the best setups in the entire crypto industry. Both from a technical perspective and also fundamentally what these guys are building and how efficiently that their team is shipping. It's honestly so cool, and it goes to show you that Bittensor is filled with teams that are absolute cracked engineers. Like, these guys do not play around, man. Bittensor is one of the only projects in crypto that has a dead serious ecosystem filled with builders, and they're all working on their own little projects. And some of these startups that are being built, it's very fascinating. So what I love about Score is that they're just like that Black Mirror episode where these cameras have intelligence. These cameras can look at a person and identify who that person is. That's what Score is building, and they're starting on a smaller scale. So they have AI models that can detect fire, that can detect petrol stations, that can detect people, that can detect sports games, and all the intelligence and skills that are being built on their AI models. Imagine this now 3, 5, 10 years out. It's very fascinating to see this. Not only that, Score has the largest amount of partnerships within the Bittensor ecosystem. I think that this is, in my opinion, could be one of the first subnets within Bittensor to hit a $1 billion market cap. And, me saying all this really doesn't mean much, which, of course, nothing I say is financial advice. I could be dead wrong. But what we see here from the technicals is that demand is highly increasing here. Look at the higher low that was developed after this massive run. So after Score went up 150%, the higher low that was developed, we only seen a very small drawdown of 25, 30%. Now, typically within the crypto space, when you see names that run up this hard with no consolidation in between, you usually see like a 60, 70, 80% drawdown. Not with Score. That is showing you how strong the holders of this asset are, and also the demand of people buying this subnet alpha token. Again, inverse head and shoulders. What we're looking at here essentially is this move being cloned. So we have a 170% move to the upside. And if we clone this and we put it to this breakout point here, we could be seeing, we could be seeing Score sitting at, 0.13 tau, depending on how much tau is being staked into their subnet. And the beautiful thing about this flywheel effect is the higher price subnets go, the higher Bittensor tau is going to go, because you need tau to stake into any of these subnets. Again, there's only 21 million tau. I think that in order to get access to these subnets, you're going to see a massive increase in demand of people buying tau, because once they realize some of the projects and startups that are being built within the ecosystem, people are really going to start to realize, holy shit, I want to own tau. I want to own a piece of these AI models. I want to partake in the upside. Again, we look at Score and they're sitting at $70 million market cap. So if this were to become a $1 billion, market cap token, that's a 10x opportunity. A 10x opportunity from here is close to, a 0.45 tau per alpha token. Again, there's only 21 million alpha tokens for each subnet. And something that's really cool to see, if you go to tau.app, what you're going to see is how much of the alpha token is being burned. And think about that. There's only 21 million tau, and these guys are burning some of their alpha token from the revenue that they're earning from these AI models in the real world. And they're recreating this flywheel effect because they're now burning the supply of their alpha tokens, which means they're creating an even more scarce opportunity by, essentially burning that alpha token, burning the supply. So instead of it being 1 over 21 million, they've now shrunken that. So it could be 1 over 20 million, which again, this just makes it more attractive, especially if this starts to catch, some traction in the future. So Score is another one that I have my eyes on 100%. Resi Labs, as we look at this next subnet here, I want you to pay very close attention, because this just goes to show you the breadth of startups that are being built within Bittensor. This isn't just some other chat GPT LLM model. These are like very unique AI startups, AI models. These are really unique use cases of AI, and they're all being built within this ecosystem. Most people have zero clue about this, which still blows my mind. So again, what we're seeing here with Resi Labs, this subnet here has insane potential. The reason why I think this is because they're essentially creating real estate intelligence oracles, AI models that are going to help with the tokenization of real estate. The first model they've created is an AI model that essentially does appraisals for homes. So imagine Zillow. Imagine, if you're here in Canada, imagine using realtor.com. And when you go to those websites, or realtor.ca, you go to these websites and you look at the prices of homes, they're kind of inaccurate. You don't really know. The only way you're going to get to find out the legit price is if you start putting in bids. Or imagine you're in the market and you're trying to sell your house. Okay? You have to go trust some random guy and what he has to say about what your house is worth. And all he's really doing is basing it off of what they say on realtor.ca. What Resi is doing is they're using an AI model to get significantly more accurate pricing on these real estate appraisals and what the value of homes are. I think this is fascinating. This is just the first piece of their company. Where this can go blows my mind. We're talking about a $600 trillion industry. Real estate is one of the largest industries out there. So much money in real estate. If Resi can capture a very tiny percent of this industry and leave a lasting mark that they are a useful company and that they make things easier for people, they're more accurate, better quality, I think that the upside here is ridiculous. And this just, again, to reiterate, the breadth of what's being built on Bittensor cannot be slept on. So what we're looking at, in my opinion here, super plain and simple, we have a clear resistance. We've created a really nice rounding bottom pattern here. And what I'll be looking for, there's a few different ways I see this. If the strength continues with Resi, we might just blow right past this resistance. But essentially what I want to see, that would be a great indication in my opinion, is if we could rally into this resistance and essentially just create like a cup and handle pattern where we have this nice strong cup, we consolidate sideways for a little bit within this pattern. And if that were to take place, I think the case for, a strong upside move would be very telling. Again, this is why I love TA. The charts are telling us, are the buyers in control or are the sellers in control? Is there strong demand behind a specific asset, or are there just people selling like crazy, creating large amounts of supply? What we're seeing here with Resi, in my opinion, is that we're seeing clear demand. This is the weekly time frame. We're seeing strong bullish engulfing candles. We're seeing steady higher lows being made from this low back in, June of 2025. I think it's a matter of time. Again, right now we're in this funny phase within Bittensor where not many people really know about this. What is going to happen when the herd comes? And the beautiful thing about Bittensor is there's not a million coins like Solana. For example, you go on Solana, you can get lost with how many meme coins there are on Solana. Within Bittensor, there's only 128 AI startups. Right now, the choice that you're getting from is one, it's capped to 128. And two, if you look and do 10, 20 minutes of research, okay, maybe a little bit more, a few hours of research, you're going to find out that some of these startups are building legit tools. They have legit products. They're making real world revenue. This is a very interesting setup as a whole, right? Again, this all layers back to Bittensor Tau, the native token. These subnets within are going to create so much real world value. So, in my opinion, watching Resi go to, a 0.02 tau, 0.03 tau, that's very possible. And from here, where we're at, that's essentially like a 2 to 3x opportunity, right? So these opportunities, people wish they had these opportunities. But at the same time, these people who are wishing for these opportunities aren't willing to put in the work here to find them. And they're happening here in plain sight within Bittensor. Let's finish off with one more. Again, if you want to reference this thread, go to my page, NCB Trades. It's my latest tweet. And just take a read. I have a bunch of articles as well that break down some of these subnets. Let's take a look at Beam. This is another subnet I think is building something very interesting. They are actually one of the partners of the Yuma Group, who is a big, participant in the Bittensor ecosystem. So one of the teams that have essentially helped build up Bittensor from the ground up. Now, Beam is decentralizing the bandwidth industry. Again, if you really want to look a little bit deeper into this, I've written an article about Beam on X. So again, go to my page, go to my profile, click articles. The latest one I wrote is called The AI Bottleneck That Nobody is Talking About. I think what we're seeing here with this subnet, Beam, is they're trying to find a way to fill the gap in this bottleneck in the AI industry. And that bottleneck is bandwidth. You know, learning more about AI, learning more about, the technology itself, it's starting to really open my eyes to, what the industry is built of, what other things that, most people don't think about that actually coincide with the AI industry. Like you're starting to see, for example, semiconductor stocks obviously going crazy. Why? You can't have AI without semiconductor stocks. Energy stocks, those are going crazy. Precious metals, those are starting to go crazy. All these things have, in one way or another, a relation to the AI industry. One that nobody's really talking about is the bandwidth industry. And that's, the ability to transfer data. So imagine there's highways, all this data from machine learning, front end to the back end of training these AI models. All this data that's taking place has to be sent from one part of the data center to the other, or one part of this AI stack to the other, or even sending data to and from a customer or a client or anybody in general, or any entity, any enterprise, sending data, whether it's, again, AI inference, whether it's, financial transactions. This all takes place on these highways that are essentially, whether it's internet, whether it's, coaxial cables, whether it's deep sea cables, these this information is being transferred through these highways. And what we're seeing Beam do is they're decentralizing the bandwidth industry, meaning instead of having just one company, AWS or Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud of some sort, instead of all these companies kind of having a monopoly on the bandwidth industry and who is transferring data, Beam is utilizing the Bittensor ecosystem to get global participation from a variety of people worldwide to essentially offer their idle bandwidth capabilities and create their own highway. And because it's decentralized, it's going to be significantly cheaper to utilize them. I think that this is such an untapped industry within the ecosystem. And again, this shows you the breadth of what's being built on Bittensor. It is fascinating to me. It's essentially taken up majority of my time in the past few months, because the more you research, the more you realize, like, god damn, I really don't think there is other opportunities out there that are this asymmetric. What we're looking at with Beam is this beautiful setup, consistently creating higher lows, proving to us that demand is there for the subnet. And what I like about them is the founder of Beam, his name's Nick, again, partner of the Yuma Group, which is a big name in the Bittensor ecosystem. This guy has been working in the bandwidth industry for a couple decades. There's nobody who's more in touch with the industry than this guy. And here he is working on Bittensor. I think that says quite a lot, because why would you come to this random ecosystem if there wasn't a legitimate use case or a legitimate opportunity that maybe most people can't see? So what we're seeing here from a technical perspective is, this ascending triangle pattern here. Very clear resistance, higher lows being made into resistance. It's an exciting time. Again, as you see, the attention come to Bittensor, the price of Tau, the Tau token itself, rise. You're going to see people learn more about the ecosystem. Once they find out and get a hold of these subnets, they are capped supply assets. These things can run with haste. Positioning yourself correctly into strong subnets that are offering a legitimate model, a legitimate product, that are creating real world revenue, that are, solving problems in super niche industries just like Beam. They're creating insane opportunities. I can't really express this enough. So, again, this has been a super long video. It's the only one I'm going to be posting for tonight. If you made it this far, shout out to you. I really appreciate you supporting my channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed. There is some insane opportunities in the market. I think a lot of them are happening within Bittensor. We're seeing Bittensor here currently at a 3.4 billion dollar market cap. And it's so fascinating because if even one of these subnets becomes a big name in the world, it is going to drastically change everything for Bittensor. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.